This week, I thought it was appropriate to shout out another Star Wars mock builder, and he's definitely got the skills to lay the mills. I'm talking about Coconut Brikx. So definitely go show Coconut some love and see what kind of mocks he's making. This was not a paid advertisement for the Cali Brick Clique, but shout out to all the awesome mock makers.
Are you familiar with the digital garbage bag piece?
No. Why would I know that more so than...
That's not why I'm asking. That's not what I meant by that. But this piece?
All right, so I'm going to say it in 5, 4, 3. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cali Brick Clique, episode 63. And before we get into the introductions, you can find this episode and our previous episode and anywhere you can find podcasts via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever, or iHeartRadio. And for those of you who actually go on that. But like always, we have Ninja with the bricks.
Yeah.
We have Claire, the plastic architect.
Hi.
And this week, we have Matt, the BrickWiz himself. How's it going, dude?
What's up, everybody? Thank you guys so much for having me on. This is exciting.
Yeah.
I actually wanted you on earlier, but Claire took forever to reach out.
That was my bad. My bad. Sorry.
It's been like a bunch of, hey, Claire, did you reach out to Matt yet? Oh, I think so.
There's a lot
That's right. Doesn't matter. I'm here now, right?
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what
I
matters.
dreamt or something that I messaged you, and I was like, yeah, it definitely happened. He's just taking a long time.
I think the last time I asked, I was upside down in Florida on a chair, and Claire was in a hot tub. I'm like, hey, where are we
Wow.
at with Matt?
So
And then
interesting.
she was like, oh, you responded, blah, blah, blah. Can we do it this week? I'm like, I don't know. we're flying back tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to happen. So luckily we're able to have you this week. So thank you again for coming on. How's everybody doing this week?
Great. I
Good.
just want everyone to know how wonderful and sweet and nice that Matt is, and how flexible he was in terms of
Very.
scheduling, and how difficult I was. So yeah, that's shout out to Matt right now. Just for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't know. It was literally 2 days. I think we said one day, and then the other day worked too. So I'm not doing anything tonight. It's great. It's fun time.
It's not doing anything.
We'll get more into that, what you do on, at late night. And
You guys know me. I mean, come on. Every single club in New Jersey knows TheBrickWiz, right?
Hey.
Oh, wow. It's like that. I always
VIP.
pegged you for an alpha male. So envisioning that you go into the club every night is something that I would.
Well, he wears his merch
be.
at the club. That's
Promotion, yeah.
Free marketing, am I right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wonder how far that would go if I were to go to a bar wearing a brick shirt.
I don't think anyone would know.
Now, if I were to go into
That's
a hipster bar, right?
I feel like there's a difference if you're wearing it or if I was wearing it.
What is that supposed to mean?
Wait, elaborate on that one for me.
I don't know. The way you would carry yourself with it. It was
okay,
this
okay,
dude.
okay.
I think you
Whereas
could get
opposed to
a big
this guy.
QR code on the back and the front and just nothing else. And then that way people are going to be more inclined.
That's
I think that
That's
would work
crazy.
really well.
I've
Bring it
thought
bring it
about
to a
that.
convention, honestly. You do amazing.
That's crazy. I thought about that because I don't know. For me, it piques my interest. I wonder what that is. Scan it and then
Dude, there was a Super Bowl commercial with just a QR code.
Yeah.
yeah. See,
You should do that and just have it scanned, and people are automatically signed up to your Patreon. Boop, boop, boop,
the
He's
highest
out.
tier.
Man.
boop, boop, boop. Yeah.
I feel like that's something Sans should do.
Yeah. I feel like it's on brand.
Very. It wouldn't make sense if I were to
Yeah.
do that.
I feel like we've touched on some of the topics we're going to talk about, going out, being a cool guy, scammers. This is I'm excited.
Wow, you're literally.
Just
Just set it up for success.
all of it.
Stay tuned. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't even know where to begin with all that, but Lego wise, did anybody pick anything up since the first?
Speed champions.
Nope.
I got my Bricklink designer program stuff came in. The
Ooh,
castle
nice.
and the boat. Very exciting.
Are you gonna touch it anytime soon, or is it gonna go to the backlog?
I was in the backlog, considering that I have stuff from the previous Bricklink designer still in the backlog as well. So I don't have high hopes.
Are you
for
talking
that.
about from the first time?
Yeah.
What do you have from the first one that's not built yet?
I have a couple
The
few
sal-
away.
The saloon?
Yeah.
Do you have the one shot? Please tell me you don't have the first castle and you haven't built that one yet. The whatever L castle. I forgot
Oh
what it's
no, I
called.
parted that one together, but I've got that in a box.
So
Sorry.
I have a question. Since it's been so long, are you going to open them or are they going to be investment pieces?
Oh no, they're for me. No, I don't know, man. I lost so much money in the market that maybe I'll sell them now.
Yeah, I was about to say, how much are those Bricklink sets worth now, the first wave?
I haven't looked.
I saw them for a pretty hefty price at my local Bricks and Minifigs. But there were a
Yeah,
bunch that
that's-
weren't selling though. I don't, maybe it was the
Mhm.
way they were priced. I think I saw them at the time. They were like 1 something to like
Mhm.
300, depending on what it was. I think
I think the castle's like
Boone
300,
set was
which
going
is-
for a lot. The fire truck.
Yeah, the castle's like 300, which is why like I'm parting it together slowly. It's just not worth it. Like the pieces are less than that, especially because we have a
Yeah.
pretty decent like piece
Mhm.
collection. And then yeah, no, we've got a few. We've got like the bike rack, the one shot, and just the saloon. That's it. That's all I got back then. Because that was usually when I was like, ooh, building, I like this, or like something that's like, ooh, associated with urban planning, a bike rack,
Wasn't the bike rack like a 2-in-1 or something like that?
It had a little
something like that. Now.
bike truck that picked up the bikes around the
I see. Okay.
Green City. I think that's what it was. I got my castle in. It's gonna go to my epic, not so epic haul this month because I'm not allowed to buy anything from from last month's haul and from flying over there. I think we kind of went over budget a little bit, and because I also spent like over $3,000 just planning the Chicago trip.
See, look, you could still use that on the thumbnail. Like put a huge epic, but then not so like
Yeah,
really
just
small.
show-
on top.
Little
show your
tiny not
plate
so in the
for me.
thumbnail.
Little parentheses, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Either way, I'm excited for Chicago. That's coming up. I am doing World War Brick the weekend before, so any of you Brickmania fans who have been asking me to go over there, I'll be over there just for a day, and then I'm driving down to Chicago with my family. So my family's actually coming, which is the reason why it's expensive. I have to buy 4 tickets instead of just
Mhm.
one. And Luna has already passed the free ticket zone,
Oh,
so
Ah,
it's like we have to buy them all a
Just get
ticket.
rid of
And this
her.
is their first time
That's
flying,
rough.
so I know they're gonna freak out. I was really paying attention this like past trip going to Florida, like how other parents were doing it. What happened? I mean, we'll see.
It's their first time. Both of them, they've never
I
flown
mean,
before.
I've never had an inclination to go anywhere during COVID.
That's
with my
true. That's
family.
a big deal. That's a big deal for them.
You know, Ezra's excited. Luna has no idea. I'm freaking out because one, like, I don't know how they're gonna take it. I don't want to be that parent on the plane. I don't, like,
I've heard that kids get so like wild on the plane because of the pressure.
Like
We're
they
leaving
can't
at
deal with
12
like, the
a.m.
sinuses and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
and that's why we're doing it in the morning, like at 12 a.m. They're gonna be tired getting to the plane. They're gonna freak out in a second. They're gonna
That's-
pass out as soon as we
yeah,
That's how
start.
you do it.
that's smart. That's very smart.
That's the reason why we're doing that. So you know, the planning's all done. You know, like pretty much every hotel we're staying is done. Brickmania might give me a car to use to travel down to Chicago, which would be great. But if they don't, I still have a car in backup. Like the whole trip is planned, and that feels really good to have it just out the way. And
Definitely.
now also everyone we know that is going has already solidified or is currently solidified that they're
Mhm.
going to.
Matt,
So-
you're solid, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to Brickworld. I've got all that stuff paid away, just except the hotel, but airfares booked, all that type of stuff. So yeah, I'm
Mhm.
going. Luckily, I was able to get my room like months ago.
Okay.
I mean the what even the name of that hotel?
I don't know.
It's,
Wherever the convention's at.
it's crazy expensive, but I always like to fork out more because like I can literally wake up 5 minutes before it starts and just walk down and it's right there.
Yeah.
To
That's
me,
crucial.
that convenience is worth the fee, but it's an expensive hotel, but it's nice, so I enjoy it.
I'm just staying there because I don't have to be dropped off because my family's not going to be there the whole time. They're going to go away to a friend's of ours. So I can just wake up and they can take the car and I'm pretty much independent until Saturday. I don't know if you guys saw Martin's mock of Encanto.
Oh,
My kids are
the
freaking out.
Encanto
They're
house?
both excited.
The Montreal house, yeah. That's so
I showed
cool.
that to my kid. They're so excited to see
That was
a
great.
large, real life mock.
They're gonna be like, Daddy, why don't you do this?
I know. I'd be like, because Daddy puts all his other money in these little tanks that
No touching.
going into that, someone else here does really large scale mocks, and that's Matt.
Mhm.
I was about to say I don't build that much.
I was no, not like that. So large scale mocks is pretty much where you got a lot of your traction from on your channel, correct? I remember you saying
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got introduced into community pretty late. It was around 2017. It was actually the year I graduated high school. And then I started just making my own videos just because I was like, you know what, I enjoy them. I look at them now and I can't stand to watch them. But yeah, I think a year or two later, I kind of found the whole mock build series, the thing that sort of, Solid Brick Studios kind of iconized in the community, and then saw other channels like Rich Boy J and a bunch of other really cool creators doing the same thing, and I really thought that would be fun. So I kind of just followed that formula. Obviously, added and corrected on places that I thought I could do something different. But I'd say, yeah, I mean the majority have definitely come from the mock build series. Tuning in every single week for the live streams, the update videos. That's definitely where a core of my audience came from for sure.
because Lego's expensive. We all know that. Like, how do you find the means to be able to accumulate all of that in such a short time? I know that's a lot. That's a big question for a lot of giant mock builders like yourselves.
Yeah.
Like, how did you decide to pull the trigger on
Yeah.
something like that too?
Yeah. So
And
like,
commit.
yeah, exactly. So I guess it kind of starts, obviously, like, I feel like every kid is into Lego when they're younger, and then sort of when they get maybe into like the middle, the lower teenagers, they kind of drop it and maybe move on to something else. That was pretty much exactly what I did. I think in middle school, 7th grade, 8th grade, I dropped Lego, did a lot of sports stuff, and kind of pursued that up until the end of high school. And then once that stopped, I kind of went back into Lego. What's unfortunate is I didn't have any of my existing collections since then. I think my mom consignment, eBay stuffed all that away. So I literally had nothing, which is kind of crazy. And then I think it was New Year's 2018. I was at my uncle's house. We always are, and we built like some random Lego set. And I was like, this is pretty fun. I might, buy another one next week and next month and try and get some of the new releases. And then it kind of snowballed from there. And that's sort of when the YouTube started taking off. That's when I started doing my first build series, which was Crate, which was not, I guess, the first build series in the channel history, but it was definitely the one that like got me going for sure. But to answer the question, honestly, I'm gonna be very honest, not having to pay rent and utilities is a big part of that. I still live at home. I'm a little bit under a year graduated from college. I do have plans to move out at some point by the end of this year, but I'm not going to lie, having a job and then also not having to pay for rent and over half my meals is a big reason for that. But another one is also just, I don't consider myself like an investor per se of Lego, but I will buy things with that in mind that I can use it now and then get rid of it to keep funding the hobby, which is I think a lot of people don't necessarily do too often.
No, that's really good.
Yes,
That's
I mean,
really, really good.
yeah, I have bad impulse buys for sure. Like if I'm at Walmart, 50%, 60% off. Some of you might have seen my recent video. I bought like 20 plus Mandalorian Starfighters. They're 40% off.
Dive into that.
What questions do you have for that one?
Why?
Dude, like, I think that was the first Instagram comment, other than like the 3 bot accounts that immediately comment. It was, just why ... To be honest, I just love the set. I have just like this weird obsession with it. I think everyone here can relate to that. I'm sure there's that one set that no matter the price, you'll kind of overlook that. It was also a mix of, I do want to eventually build the Siege of Mandalore. So I would need, probably 3 or 4 of those, not 20 per se. But then also it was at a considerable discount. If you really look at the content of the sets, the minifigures and the pieces and that kind of stuff, that set retires 2 years later. It's probably going to be $100+ set.
Yeah,
that helps me fund my hobby 2 years from now. That helps me pay for my Brickworld Chicago 2024 flight, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of why.
Plus, you can, aside from selling it, you could probably use a lot of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, parting out is definitely also a big part of the channel for sure. There's not too many things that I part out just because I don't really have an organized system, which is definitely not good. But there are sets that I'll buy that I think these pieces are really good. Like, for example, with my current build series, Brikx, is a lot of the parts that I need for what's coming up next, which is like this big building, is just basically grays. And there are a couple of sets that I would buy, just 5 or 6 of them, and just end up parting it out, and I'll end up using those pieces. So it's, when you're a large scale mock builder, you definitely are sort of dynamic with how you're spending your money. But essentially the core of it is, I've been employed since I was 16. I've always just felt the need to be doing something for sure. And then also YouTube revenue. I mean, I don't really make super duper amounts of money off YouTube, but pretty much everything just kind of goes right back into, the cameras and stuff like that. So it's kind of just like recycling funds for sure. It does get very daunting. Like this past couple of months ordering stuff, it's been crazy. My expenses are a little higher than I was anticipating because I forgot about Chicago and forgot about Virginia and having to pay for those. So I am kind of in a little bit of a hole, but it's not that bad. So
I think like the average American spends like 30% on housing, like 30% of their income on housing, like every month. I think a lot of young viewers watch and they're like, how do you afford this? How do you afford that? And like for us, it's easy to say, we're like, oh, well, we work full time and it's like whatever. But then like, you're in kind of like this transition phase, and you're actually in a phase that most people tend to be very cash poor. Like there's no way in hell in college I would have ever been able to do that. Granted, I was abroad. I was out of the state. I was living in a dorm room. So like even if I could afford everything, Like logistically speaking, there's no way in hell that would have fit in the dorm room.
It's always tough because I feel like a lot of, obviously we all have an audience of like, similar age, AFOLs and through that 18 to 24 demographic where I think we all probably primarily hit. But they're also, I also go as far as to say that people who are most engaging with content, like commenting, liking, and sharing, I say a lot of those are probably younger teens, like super young kids. And so explaining to them that they're kind of just out of luck and they can only rely on, their allowance or Christmas money is tough. And I think obviously being older and being, sort of responsible with your income and your cash flow is a really big part of it for sure.
That's right. Sometimes you got to sacrifice. You don't have
So
enough.
interestingly, I don't know about Chai and Ninja, but like my audience is mostly like the 28 to 35 category. That's like I'm like more than 50% there.
I'm in the same boat because I have a lot of veterans.
We are in that demographic, which makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I think my primary is 18, 24, and then whatever the one from 17 and below is the second most, which I think makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's Sans as well. Yeah. He's got the same. I mean, it makes sense. Also, like you're doing like Star Wars content, you like growing up with your own channel. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it makes sense. But anyway, but that's awesome, Matt, that you sound like super on top of it. You sound like you're way ahead for your years of like awareness of like, moving money around and also like not having the debilitating nostalgia and like desire to hold on to sets. We've talked about that a lot here on this podcast, like how it's really important. And it's like, I feel like we are coming to that transition point where we're going to be like, rotating things in and out because of space and just finances. Just doesn't make any sense to just keep dumping stuff into it. Like there comes a point where it's time to sell.
I mean, I mean, Lego is just one of those collectible communities where it's just worth so much. Like I feel like trading cards, sneakers, like it's very similar in the fact that you're paying retail, but then it's also worth such a tremendous amount of money. And we can't not pay. I'm not paying rent, but I'm saying like we as a collective, like we can't ignore bills that we have to pay, insurance, claimed, whatever it is.
And also just like the mental health of like clutter and overwhelming amount of stuff and like the amount of time that you can spend just reorganizing and keeping track of your stuff is like time that you could also be spending on the hobby. And then if you plan on staying in the hobby for a long time and like investing in it and like getting the new sets as they come out, it's got to be one in, one out or something along the lines of that. Like, I know that that's very hard. That's a very like strict militant thing.
Yeah. I feel like I've definitely been lucky. My dad, he's been in like the banking world for his entire life. So he's always sort of instilled that, be financially responsible. Oh, here's your allowance. You could save that and buy something big after your birthday or something like that. Right. But I've always definitely had that sort of idea of financial responsibility, being into stock market, being into crypto and stuff, even though none of which is doing phenomenal at the moment.
No.
But finding ways to make your money. It's so cliche, but have your money, work for you and make it, sort of have it grow in the next couple of years or whatever your timeline is such an important thing to, I think, keeping your hobby alive, especially if it's as expensive as Lego.
Yeah.
Damn.
Exactly.
And you're doing BrickLink now too, right?
Yeah, I do BrickLink more so just to kind of get rid of stuff. When the pandemic hit, and I think when we were all probably home with absolutely nothing to do, I was just scouring eBay trying to find like good deals and then sort of quick flip on BrickLink, just like use lots of minifigures. You would find like one or two gems. BrickLink for me is just something if I don't really want it and I want to sort of maybe use those funds towards the mock or towards expenses, I'll kind of use it. I don't really like actively sort of sell on BrickLink. I mean, I'm sure we all know people who are BrickLink sellers and who do that full time. That's definitely not me though.
That's a lot of time.
Yes, it is.
A lot of time. Yeah.
I don't know how that's sustainable, but hey, they make it work. I can't really hate on them for that. I feel like you have to have like a really huge store to make it work.
Well, I think it's also like a hobby within itself.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? There's like the organization, the strategy, the packaging, all of it within itself could be like seen as a hobby and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I always think of it like it's just too dangerous because I'll be using the bricks I'm supposed to be selling. Like I can't control myself like that.
Yeah. That's what your own supply, man.
Yeah, I can't. If it's right there in front of me, I'm dabbling.
Like, Jabo goes through his own collection sometimes, right? Like, how do you like when you have a huge like store like that and you want to build a mock? Like, how do you like you just pull out of your, that's a lot of work just to pull
Well, it's
out
like
a
you
single
pull
brick
out of, you have to pull out of it, then you have to like re-inventory like whatever you just pulled out.
Yeah.
But then like
Yeah.
what he also does though is like what I've noticed is like he justifies like there's like certain pieces and parts, and then you can be like, well, I can buy a few of these sets because I can part them out. Like I can, there's definitely been certain sets where I was like, okay, well, I'll buy the set because I like the set, but I don't really like the figures, so I'll sell the figures, or the other way around. There's a huge market for that because it's almost like there's the same amount of people who want just the figures as there are as who just want the sets, which is kind of cool because you can kind of theoretically trade and only pay like half the amount for both or whatever.
We all know that like this stuff is really expensive. Building mocks are expensive. Building giant mocks are super expensive. A couple years ago, something happened that was pretty much a wake-up call to this entire community. As to anyone here that just joined in within the past 2 years, you're probably unfamiliar with this story. Hey, Matt, can you give us a little story time?
Yeah, sure. Story time with BrickWiz. Okay. So as we've talked about, the main focal point of my channel is the mock build series. Traditionally, what I'll try to do is find a sponsor. Not only does this help alleviate the costs on my end, funding the videos and stuff like that, but sometimes it'll also just, give a coupon code or send free product or whatever it is. Something, a sponsorship I look for, something that's beneficial to the series and not just a cash grab. So 2 years ago in 2020, I was building a base called an Axis. It was seen in the Clone Wars in the final season, which was amazing. I had this instant just passion to build it, and it came out really nice. I think I finished it, and the finale did awesome, and definitely probably the biggest video on my channel for sure. So in the process of that, a couple of months before I started, I came across this individual. To be honest, I don't even remember his username because he made like 3 or 4 different ones. I think it was PRM Studios, whatever it is. The account's gone. But we'll get to that. So he approached me. He approached me as this very, likable and very affable type person. And I definitely fell for it, which sucked. But basically, he was offering me X amount of money per episode. All I had to do was sponsor and give him a shout out for his new page, because he made a new page. He said he was a new AFOL. He just retired, stuff like that. He made up a whole story about how he used to work on like an oil rig, and it was an elaborate scheme for sure. So a couple of weeks went by. I'll be very honest. He promised between $200 to $400 an episode, which was a lot. And looking back at it, was definitely a red flag. But I think I was just so caught up in like, oh, someone thinks so constructively of me and has such just a drive to support me. I'm like, holy crap, like, yeah, why not? So I took the deal. I think maybe like 6 or 7 weeks of the series went by. This individual sponsored before the series started. So I think only the first 2 or 3 weeks of the series actually had his ad, but 4 or 5 weeks before then he was also sponsoring as well. So a part of our deal was that he would give me this amount of money a week. I would let him know what the money's being spent on. So if he gave me, let's say $50, I would say, okay, here's a BrickLink order that costs $48.94. This is where the majority of the funds went to. These are pieces I'm using for this. I was very thorough with the money, where he was sending it to me, where it was going, just to avoid any sort of confusion, because I'm not the type of guy to, pull a fast one on you. I'm not going to steal your money for a reason that's not intended. It's basically, long story short, this is 8 weeks of sponsored. So you can figure that amount of money over 8 weeks. And then one day I woke up. I will not forget this morning, because my heart dropped to the bottom of my stomach. I saw in my PayPal account was negative $2,900 and something dollars. And then I looked back at all the transactions he had done, and he had sent the money as a a goods and service. Now, for that, what that means is basically PayPal offers seller and buyer protection. So let's say if I buy something from Shy, I pay him through PayPal, and let's say Shy is weird and scams me and doesn't send me a package. I can then open a dispute through PayPal, then I can get my money back. This is essentially what this individual decided to do. They made the claim that these purchases were unauthorized, and within one day, my account was down like almost $3,000, which at the time, I was a sophomore in college, working maybe 15 hours a week. That was a lot of money. I think that was probably just about what I have in my savings account at that time. So that was tough. I really didn't know what to do, but that's sort of basically someone came into my life as a YouTuber, sponsored me, gave me cash, and then all of a sudden blocked me, deleted his accounts, and pulled the rug out. So then I was down $3,000. It was tough.
You see that? Oh man, it gets me speechless to think, because that's like when I first got into the community. like around that time, and I remember seeing those videos, and I'm already like, I already have trust issues and stuff. Like, I don't know, it's a problem. But like I seen that, and I was like, man, like that's just crazy. Like to put yourself out there, and then to trust people. You just can't trust people. I don't know. I remember talking to Shai about that stuff.
It's tough. I mean, I'm definitely. I know Claire spoke highly of my personality before. I think that might have gassed me up just a little over dramatically, but I definitely consider myself more easygoing. I love talking to people. I love making friends with people, and this was definitely a wake up call. Unfortunately, as positive as I am and the energy I put out, and I like to have the people around me sort of vibe the same. Not everyone's going to be like that, and that's just a sort of awakening for the world. So that definitely changed my attitude for sure. I didn't stop with my energy and my attitude. I think that was so important, but definitely keeping your circle a little more tight. Maybe this sounds weird, but like vetting your circle, if that makes sense. Sort of like that was definitely one of the big key things I learned from it for sure.
You see, it's not an L if you learn a lesson, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
And trust is definitely earned.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Not given. So that it was a wake up call for a lot of people, because this community it promotes itself as a very positive environment that's very welcoming to everybody, and it is for the most part. It is.
Yeah. But also, like in your defense, you were excited. Sorry, I just had to get that.
Yeah.
You're like you said, oh, he's willing to support me. Like this is awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. It was. I mean, I'm not sure how much you guys know of like this individual and his actual personal beliefs. I'm sure we're all caught up. I won't really get into that too much, but essentially what happened was I was live streaming the mock one time, and I had his phone number because that's how we communicated. And he decided to FaceTime because this individual was so just like clout hungry. He wanted to be the face of it looking back, and I didn't really think about it now, but I FaceTimed him. So I had a picture of this actual person, and that screenshot would actually come very, very handy, after the scam went through and after I did my own research. And I want to give a huge thanks to the community for sure. Specifically David, Ryan, Jay, a bunch of the big pullers in the community, at least in the Star Wars subsection, because they dropped everything and they helped me out so much. I mean, Jay was down a couple $100, albeit, Jay really wasn't too worried about that because it wasn't like a huge sum of money. But a lot of people helped me out, and that was really moving for me for sure. I had obviously been in the community for about 2 years, really. And I had met these guys a couple of times, and we had been talking a lot, and, we were definitely internet friends for sure, but I really didn't know the true impact and the pull that people can have in this community. That was interesting, because obviously a big negative is losing all the money, which I was, blessed to get back through the GoFundMe from people who wanted to help out. But through that negative, like Ninja was just saying, it's not an L if you learn something. I learned just how impactful and strong this community could be, when people who truly need it and everyone sort of band together. And that was an incredible thing to see. So many people just helping me out, dropping everything they're doing, no matter what they're doing, and either sharing the story, sharing the tweet, liking the video, commenting. That was amazing. It was an amazing feeling.
There was a lot of love after that video that you posted and then took down. But there was a lot of love coming your way. It did show, although a very scary place, a very scary picture of what just happened. We need to be careful out there. On the glass half full optimistic side, there's a lot more that outweighed that for the better. Definitely brought a lot of people within, not only the Star Wars community, but a lot of people that are not even, because I don't consider myself Star Wars community, and I understood what was happening, and I contributed to that. And I sent out good vibes. But the second part to that is that you've only met these few people a few times, being Ryan and them.
Yeah.
And they did all this for you to help you. And that's the other great thing about this community, is that Claire and I have only met a few times. Ninja and I have only met a few times in real life, IRL. Yeah. But I consider them really close friends of mine in this space. There's not many people that I trust out here that can just pretty much just say whatever I want, and they're not going to just leave me hanging.
Yeah, that's the most beautiful thing to come from social media and internet. I mean, obviously there are faults and there are negatives and backdraws to having access to an account for free and being able to say whatever you want. But I mean, if I had a list of 10 people in my life who I'd jump in front of a bullet for, or drop what I'm doing and hop on a flight or drive I'd say probably half of them are people I've met in this community. So it's tremendous. It really is. It's life changing.
It's a big difference to how life was like 10 years ago for like Claire and Ninja and I.
Yeah, that's where I think the difference comes in.
Yeah,
I'm like, internet, what?
it was crazy, and I guess I'll put this out there. I've never really talked about this, but going off of the whole scam situation, there was a period after that where my family was genuinely concerned because this person had sent product to use. An example was basically for donors who contribute to the mock. If they donate over X amount, I put their sig fig in it. That was pretty much what we agreed to. So there was a point in time where this individual had a lot of my personal information. Obviously, I told my family about the history of this person. They were the ones who made me take down the video. In retrospect, probably a safer thing, at least, if I'm still living with other people, I have to definitely take them into account as well.
Yeah. Wait, had you given your address out for people to send stuff to? Got it. Okay.
No,
yeah.
so I didn't publicly put it, but because we had worked out a deal with this individual, he was just going to he sent me a bunch of pieces. He sent me minifigures and stuff. So he had, the house address. This is before I used the PO box. Is actually the main reason why I use a PO box now. But there was a time where it was very scary. It was very scary. I remember.
Did you file a police report and go through all of that?
I didn't, because I felt like that would. So my perception of this person, obviously, I made such a big mistake in trusting this person to begin with. But I feel like I have a pretty good sense of getting to know people. Obviously now more so than before, but I didn't really get the feeling that this person would sort of continue it. I think he was just. I looked at his history. He had a history with the law. Basically nothing violent, but it was just bank scamming people, money. I think this is just another quick grab. But going to the police was definitely an option. I chose not to do it. My family chose not to do it because I thought it would just kind of simmer out, and it has. I have not heard from this individual or seen him.
So I will. Okay, so I had my credit card. I had identity theft. Someone opened a bunch of credit cards in my name and really attacked my credit score, and it dropped my credit score from almost perfect, almost like 800 to basically 4 something.
Oh my god!
And which is in this country, that's one of the most important things to be able to do anything is to have a good credit score. You can't buy a house, can't buy a car, can't do anything. And at the time I was in negotiations for this apartment that I'm in now. And it was just very, very difficult. So, luckily I had my parents supported me and were able to back me and stuff. But the reality is anyway, so I filed a police report and I didn't do it because the other person or whoever did it. I did it for my own protection. So if someone came to see my credit history, if someone came to see any of my stuff, there's a paper trail showing that something happened that was out of your control. And so you have to do the same thing. Even if someone steals your license plate in San Francisco, which happens all the time if you park on the street, and they go and put it on a stolen car,
goes back to you.
It goes back to you.
Yeah.
So you have to file a police report to protect yourself. And so I think it's really important that people know that. So luckily in your situation, it was just $2,000. Did you get overdraft fees or anything like that on your account?
I think I did get some from my bank account, but I did waive them. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah, because so when stuff like that happens, a police report is essentially your receipt saying this was not right. So I'm just saying involving the police is not this big thing that people get really, because it's it's kind of seems kind of fearful, but it's a paper trail. You know what I mean? And it's if you frame it that way, then it's luckily
it's a safety net too.
Yeah, luckily in this situation you probably didn't need it. But just in case anything like this ever happens again, because it does happen, it's okay to do that. And it's literally you go to the station, you file a piece of paper, and that's it. And they give you a receipt for it. It's not they don't interview you. They don't interview your family. It's nothing like that,
That's what I used to think.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the interrogation room. Ask me all these questions. It wasn't me.
I'm sure you've learned so much from this experience, but it's really important that you protect yourself in this country. And this country is great and wonderful, but we also have systems set up to sue other people, to defame other people, to do it. And so it's really important that you protect yourself and your assets, which includes getting a PO box. Like that's really good that you have that now, and not sharing your address, and not just being careful of like where you take photos, and how you film yourself and stuff like that. So, and how you portray yourself on the internet. Like if you want to be, let's say like you don't want to do Lego, and after college you want to become a teacher, like someone can come and like look at your content, and luckily you've done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But if you did for some reason, you know what I mean? Like people are just crazy. Anyway, you seem to have a very good grasp on this, and I don't need to be like talking at you, but it's just like, it's very frustrating to hear that happened. It didn't need to happen. Do you know what I mean? And like, I'm sure you were like so frustrated. You were like, I should have known better. You know what I mean? I'm sure like, you were like, God, I'm so much smarter than this. I'm so like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you're like all for like a Lego mock, you know what I mean? And like taking advantage of. Yeah.
I was like, of all the things I get scammed for in my life, Lego is not one of them. But that's amazing advice, and it's definitely something I heavily considered at the time. I think it was definitely emotionally driven, because I don't know if you guys saw the follow-up video. So there was like the main video, the exposed video, and then I was made to take that down by my parents. Probably the right move. Although
it was good job.
It was a good video, but I was very distraught. I mean, to be honest with you, because I spent so much time. I mean, there was a group chat of some of my closest friends, and we were just FBI, CIAing this guy, like finding everything we could, and just to make it all one video so everyone knows. That video had to be taken down. And I felt like I had the need to explain it, because I think literally like a minute after I took it down, I got so many DMs like, oh my God, like, where is it? Did you private it? So I made a video after that, and definitely wasn't a video I should have made for sure, but it was basically me breaking down, just saying like, why is this going on? I was forced out to make the video. I want to move on, blah, blah, blah. So I think a part of the reason why maybe mentally I didn't want to go through with the police report was A, because I really didn't think it'd be that easy. And then two, I just wanted to get over it and move on.
Just get over it and move on. Yeah. You just got to see it as like filing a piece of paper. And I think it's really important that your family made you take down that video, because the risk that you're setting yourself up, not just like from someone coming to your home, that's one thing. Yeah. But a bigger thing is that you open yourself up for slander, defamation, lawsuits that cost a lot more than $3,000 that will attack you, and the fact that you live in your parents' home, themselves, and there's no way, like it'll your family's finances are at risk.
That's exactly why we didn't go down that road. That was a big discussion I had with my parents, and they said, I don't really think, and this discussion was after the GoFundMe went through, so thankfully I had recovered completely. And they were just like, best case scenario, you have a paper trail and you're safe from that type of stuff. But, let's say this guy sues me for defamation in a civil suit or something like that. Now all of a sudden I have to pay for my own legal fees, my parents and all that to be involved. And, there has to be, it's a lot. But
sticky situations.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What a life lesson for your younger 20s.
Yeah, definitely a wake up call, but I'm happy I learned it while I didn't have too many expenses at hand, rather than when I'm 30 or 40 and I have to pay for things. So
I'm sorry, Matt.
That's okay. It's okay.
Forgot how much
it really stinks though. It's like it's not fair. Like yeah, like you definitely seem like very with it and stuff, which is very cool. And like especially because you do have a younger audience, it is obviously like good for you to like, I mean, obviously
it's like they learned a lesson with you also.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's good.
Everyone learned a lesson in that video. I don't think there's one person I was like, like you had a pretty engaged video. You had a pretty engaged storyline. But your friends pushing it out there. So it was out there and you got a lot of support for it. So, it didn't go on deaf ears, and there was something to be learned from this. So it was, not to say it needed to happen, but it was a good wake up call.
Yeah. And the fact that it didn't stop you. You push forward and you've moved on and you're in a better spot now. Rose above.
Right? Yeah, that was tough. I mean, if I hadn't been able to recoup the funds, that would have been a really hard conversation with myself mentally if I really wanted to keep going. But thankfully, I didn't have to cross that road, and the support after that, I mean, it was tremendous. It helped me go so much. So, things happen for a reason for sure. I'm happy it happened because I think I'm better off now than before for sure.
Oh yeah, most def. which, you know, being in younger 20s, you have a lot going on, right?
Nice
Yeah,
segue.
yeah. I mean,
That's that way, right?
yeah, that's a great segue. You know me. I mean, partying everywhere, Instagram. No, I'm just kidding.
24-hour party
Right.
charity.
Yeah.
stream. No.
So, what is life like for a younger 20-year-old in the Lego community
Mhm.
outside of, because look, there's a certain point where, you know, the younger 20s, you're kind of known for just partying up and living your best days. Because, you know, when you're 25, your body starts to break down.
was that
That's
just
also
us?
subjective, by the way. Your best days, you know, it's like
Yeah,
it's
your
very
favorite holiday.
subjective. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not saying that's not how you should be spending your time.
Yeah.
No.
Like it's like
Oh, no, I am.
yeah, you're usually like either like messing stuff up in school or messing stuff up in school. You know, it's like it's
I
usually
was
like
blowing stuff up at my younger 20s.
yeah, well, yeah, I was not.
Yeah, I mean,
You were abroad.
it's honestly not as exciting as people think. It's funny you mentioned this now, and then before we started, you were like, you know, like what are you up to? I always thought of you in this regard,
Mhm.
because some of the friends that I have today, obviously when I first met them, I hadn't known of them, and some of them even tell me to this day, like, I really didn't want to talk to you. You were, you know, a little bit of a bigger presence, I guess, physically or mentally or whatever it was. And they were like scared, like to talk to me. These are my friends like now that I love to death. And it's funny because I don't think I'm nearly as scary as some people think.
No, you're very warm. You're very warm.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I love meeting people and talking to people. But I mean, to be honest, I've always been a person who I'm not going to do things just because I should be doing them. So, for example, you know, I'm not going to be drinking when I'm 12 because it's fun. I definitely don't advise anyone to do that. If you did, all the power to you. You probably had a lot of fun too. But
no, you're not 12.
yeah, that would be a little early. But
Drinking
whatever.
sodas.
Exactly, Mountain Dew, all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
there we go.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not that exciting. I've taken, you know, high school and college years to kind of try to figure out what I want to do, as I'm sure everyone does. And honestly, to this day, I have no idea what I'll be doing in 2 years. I have no idea if I'll be broke. I have no idea if I'll be moving out or living in my parents' house again. But a lot of my time is sort of, I like being to myself for sure. I'm definitely more like introverted than extrovert. I'm not the guy who's going to parties, you know, wearing the newest heat and talking to a bunch of people.
I don't even know
to
what
get
that
with them.
means.
Yeah, I'm not like a hype beast or anything like that with like shoes and apparel or anything like that. I'd say for me, it's I find the value in my years right now with finding people who I enjoy being with, who have a similar like-minded, you know, sort of space in their head and what they want to do. And then I think from there on, once you have that, I think that's what gets you going. But yeah, I'm not really the type of guy to be going out on, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even maybe Monday nights for sure.
Party
yeah,
till 6 a.m. No.
Yeah, right. Dude, I'm in bed by like 10:30, 11. I'm gassed out. I'm so tired.
Nice.
But I think the Lego space there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like our friends that are like, you know, around your age that are the same thing. And it's like, it's really cool that there's like a safe space for that, because the reality is like the social pressure to do that stuff is incredibly overwhelming. Like to meet a partner or to even meet friends and stuff like that. You're like, oh, well, I feel really awkward. Oh, I guess I'll just take a drink. And it's like, and then it's like, usually most people are fine and they can like handle it. But a lot of people like might have
spiral. Yeah.
a downward spiral, might have addiction
of course.
in their genetics that they don't really realize. And then they like fail out of college and they might never have done that if they weren't in that environment. And so I think like, it's really cool that we have this space, this Lego space. Like, I think, don't get me wrong, like I don't regret any of my experiences and things like that. Like I definitely went, you know, I learned a lot or whatnot, but I don't think I would have appreciated this space at your age. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It would have been like a nice place to come to, especially like it's my freshman year of college. I was incredibly homesick, and every weekend I would like take a bus to basically like any of my friends from high school that were within, you know, a couple hours of me. And like, which was like New York and Philly. So I had a lot of access to that, which was really great. So I got to see those cities a lot, which was super fun. But then like, I didn't really like engross myself in my university setting until I started like being like, okay, I guess I'll start partying. And then it became a lot easier. And then I found a group of friends and they're still great. I'm still really good friends with them, but a lot of them still party like that.
Yeah.
a long time later. And like I don't, and I stopped years ago. And it's really interesting. A lot of my friends in California stopped before a lot of other friends, and it was mostly like health driven too. And it's also like we have really good weather here, so it's like easier to like not drink and stuff when you can like be outside and like do other stuff, and it's not cold and you're not, so that was like a big part of it. But I genuinely think that like the Lego space would have been like a respite, you know what I mean? Like, especially like during those lonely times, like to know that this space was here. And so I think a lot of people who go into their dark ages, like you don't have to be gone completely. You can still have the space like at arm's length, which would be really cool. I mean, like, I think it's harder when you like are on campus and like totally immersed, but I'm sure there's like a way to do it.
Yeah, I commuted. I mean, I live in Jersey. I went to Rutgers. I don't know if any of you guys have heard. It's just a pretty.
I went to Lehigh.
Did you really?
Yeah, that's where I went for undergrad, which is a very big party school. So
wow.
Yeah.
So I went to Rutgers. I commuted. I honestly, it was either take out a bunch of loans and owe a lot of money, or if I could just stay at home and do that. So I've always been really content with not fully investing myself into the campus life. I mean, I still had friends I met through classes. We still go hang out and do stuff all the time. College for me was definitely more of like, we're going to throw a bunch of things at you and we're going to kind of see what works and what you are driven to. So that was definitely my purpose in college for sure. But I think being in the early 20s, being this young in the community definitely has its advantages for sure. I think, you're able to bring, and there's obviously outliers to this, but I think you're able to bring a different and unique perspective for sure when it comes to maybe how you're creating content. This is a great example. I mean, if you look at some of the maybe more solidified AFOLs who have been here, who have been in lugs and built like big cities and stuff like that, their content, while I love it and it's not for me particularly, but I think that stuff can kind of maybe get repetitive and boring. But if you're bringing someone who is younger, who is sort of staying in tune with Instagram, IGTV, TikTok, stuff like that, and you're bringing new things into the community, I think that's just another opportunity for you to grow. So I think being a younger person is definitely fun. There's more energy. I feel like you just have a lot more in you to maybe make like more exciting vlogs or a different styled review or something like that. I think if you look at a lot of the younger audience, the younger creators who are pretty solidified, I think each of them brings something very differently unique, which is always exciting.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. What Mr. Beast is 22 years old. Come on, bro.
Mr. Beast is killing it.
But yeah, you're right. A lot of the youngsters definitely have something to provide here, and I wish I found this community in my younger 20s. Like my younger 20s were like surrounded by danger, not just the military, but not just the Marine Corps and war. I'm talking about like the biker world too. When my club first started, and we're dealing with really heavy hitters to prove ourselves. But not only that, going to college, like I commuted too, so I'd fall asleep on my motorcycle because I wouldn't sleep at all because I worked full time too. So like that, and I was also single. Like my wife and I weren't together at that time. We split. So like
even more dangerous.
Yeah. So I partied hard. I don't really remember much from 22 to like 25.
You're like sleep deprived and drunk.
Yeah, somewhere in there, I graduated with a degree. I don't even know how that was possible, but like
you made it, right? That's all that matters in the end.
I didn't die in multiple places. I should have, and now I'm at the point where I felt like I kind of wasted a lot of that.
Yeah,
and I wished I was more. I mean, I was headstrong, but like I wish I had more like not like how to say it without like really destroying what I've accomplished. But like I'm just saying like more head on my shoulders like you have like right now. Like I wasn't really thinking like that. I was more, dude. I came back from Iraq when I was 18, and I had like 55 grand in my pocket in 7 months. I blew it all up. I wish I'd never I was dumb. Like I was dumb.
Hey, it's a life lesson, right?
Yeah. The second time I knew that.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I don't know how you guys feel about this, and I guess this is one of my questions for you. But I would have never imagined me being involved in a community like this. Like if you were to ask me when I was in middle school and high school, like not really. I mean, if you ask any of my friends that knew me when I was in high school or even college, like I was always definitely like maybe a little more like mature in terms of just how I thought and how I acted for sure. Like I wasn't, doing crazy stuff in the bathrooms or doing crazy pranks or pissing off teachers or whatever. Like that just wasn't me.
I wasn't like that either though. Yeah, I was
made good content.
No, I was like, I did some stupid stuff, but not really. But like, I was like really academically like focused. Like my parents were really serious. They like my parents were like the type of parents that like did my homework with me, and they like checked it all the time. And like, you know, I was like taking calculus at 16 and stuff like that. So like, I was very like that. And then, but I had sports, which was like a big thing.
Yeah.
And so like that, like really like. It was like somewhere to be. And like, honestly, like you're doing sports until like 9-10 o'clock at night. And then it's like, then you have to do your homework. So it's like, you don't have like time to do other stuff. And then when your parents like crawled up your butt to do your homework, then like, that's you like,
funny.
you just do it, you know? And it's like, and I mean, obviously there's plenty of people that don't do it, but like, I don't know. I definitely liked it. And like, for me, it was like, I remember my dad was like, I'll pay for you to go to college if you go to like, if you get into one of these schools. And it was like a book that was like top 30 schools in the United States. Oh my God. And like, and just like the fear of that, you know what I mean?
Pressure there.
Yeah. I was like there was a lot of pressure. Being an only child is, you know, an experience. And so like, yeah, but like when I got to college though, because like I had so much freedom, it was a lot. Like I didn't, like my parents helped me so much in high school that it was like, I was like, oh, okay, wait, I can like be social. I can like do my homework and I can eat whatever I want. I was like, oh my God. And like,
and I can come home at 6 o'clock in the morning. No one hounded me.
Yeah. But my mom was like,
I can't do that now.
My mom was always like, you're gonna get raped, you're gonna get raped, you're gonna get raped, you're gonna get raped. And so like, and she was like, so she was like, she was very like, be scared of the dark for a while. I wasn't really, but you know what I mean? She was like very thoughtful about that, which is great. She communicated really effectively.
Yeah. I love the fact that you brought up sports because that is such a big contributor to why I think mentally I've been able to meet so many people and you know, be confident when I'm having conversations and stuff. Like, I'm sure you guys have come across this. I mean, the Lego community, obviously, there's definitely a little bit of a stigma.
There's a lot of big dorks back.
Yeah. So like, you know, if you look at the average, like, you know, Joe or Jane in the Lego community, they might not necessarily be the most out there. They might not be able to have eye contact with you or shake your hand or hold a conversation. And I think with all of us here, that's such a big reason of why we have the platforms that we do. And sports is 1000% the reason why. I mean, I was never the guy again going out, you know, I didn't really hang out with too many kids, but being thrown to sports and especially some of the competitive stuff with baseball, as soon as I went from middle school and high school, that was such a game changer because I had no other option but to make myself affable and, you know, sort of try to be a leader in scenarios. And that's such a big reason why I think all of us probably share successes, even if it's not sports. I'm sure there's something before you maybe started making videos, before you met people here that you can point to and you can be like, this experience is unique to me and why I have the following that I do in the community.
Yeah. And just, exactly. Experience and exposure. I think that's like big. It's interesting. So like that you say that because that you like kind of reference yourself as a leader, because I remember very distinctly, obviously you're incredibly involved in your lug, but at Brick World, you were constantly surrounded by a ton of people and you were rallying them. And circumstantially you're taller than the majority of them, but still, so it's like really funny. And it's like, so you were like, kind of like, you know, it's like, you're a little, like, there's a lot of like ringleader energy, like coming from Matt at conventions.
Yeah. And I always get so mad because I mean, like my parents say this all the time, but I'm just like, oh, you're my parents. You're just gassing me up and trying to give me confidence. But I think like in like legitimately, like not joking, the most humble way possible, I pride myself in being able to sort of get others to work towards something. And like you said, with Empire Lug, it's a group that we started in 2018. And I definitely am one of the people who do the most for it for sure and contribute a lot. And I love the fact that I've been able to make so many relationships just because I feel like such a prick saying this, but like like some of my friends, like they're like we gravitate towards you and stuff, and I think that's just like a blessing that I have, and I know not everyone has that, but it's such a helpful tool if you use it the right way, and you could just make so many new friends and family members honestly from it. So
no, I love it. I'm with you. Like, what do you like? Everyone was like, oh, what was the best part about like your trip to Florida for your birthday? I was like, oh, all my friends were in one space. It was like, you know, I love bringing people together. It's like so much fun. It's so special. And And then like I told my dad, and he's very much like me because he was there. Like the trip was supposed to be just like me, Sans, and my dad. Like that was the trip. And then I was like, and then like they're like, we're actually going to be there. And then they're like, let's shift our trip around so we could be there at the same time. And then, you know, we knew we were going to see Ryan, but then like it was like, you know, and so a lot of other people came, which was like so much more fun. And then anyway, I told my dad, and I was like, Dad, is it cool? Like, FYI, no, I didn't even ask him. I like know my dad so well.
Shout out to Joe. You're awesome.
I was like, yeah, I was like, FYI, like there's going to be like 18 more people that are showing up. Sounds good. And he like didn't even flinch. Like my dad has like a massive house, like oversized for himself. My dad he doesn't like stuff. He doesn't have, I mean, he has stuff, but it's just like, whatever. He's not really into like things. He doesn't, he has a huge house just so he can host his
friends. He's like simple.
He likes to have people over. And so it was very much like he grew up in the middle of Cairo with like the door open and like people coming in and out all the time with like his family and stuff. So like for him, like bringing
the host.
Yeah, very much so. And that like definitely transitioned to me for sure.
Nice.
Shout out to Joe, man. Good dude. We really like your dad, Claire.
Me too, Shy. I really like my dad.
But yeah, so we all got to know Joe a little bit. Yeah, he knows a lot of people now. And he gets why we do this. That's the best part.
I know. Nice. Yeah, he left. He was like, I know, I get what you and Sans do. It makes sense. Like, he's like, before I like didn't know what you guys were doing, but I get it. You have a community. He's like, my dad said, he's like, you have a community. You guys like don't party. You don't do drugs. You don't drink. Like you just like, hang out together, and you have this like intense camaraderie, like based on this thing that you like, even though you don't talk about it the whole time. So that was like really special. Also, he's in a Just Too Good video. I just want to say, my dad is in a Just Too Good video, and M&R and Holly on, I think all of them in the same week. He just like got it, boom, 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 boom. He doesn't even know it. He could start a Lego channel and doesn't even know it.
There are so many people who would kill for that spot to get any one of their videos, really.
My dad, I can't even get him on Instagram. It's so funny. And then like he's on YouTube, but he's only subscribed to me. So he doesn't know how to go to my channel. So he just sees like what I've done recently. Very cute. He's like, I watched the video of you guys go to Target. Why do you post that on the internet?
Target. Did he see himself in any of those videos? Did you show any of them?
Maybe. He's just like, I don't know. I should show him. He's not going to know. He's not going to have any concept of what that means.
Yeah, but it's like, it's like a family video.
Oh yeah, he'll enjoy those. Yeah. No, he liked your trailer, Shy. But anyway, yeah, Matt, like, are you going to be doing that same like vibe? Are you going to be like in Chicago? Are you also getting Rebel Lug together and like having like Rebel Lug dinners and like doing your whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the guys over at Empire Lug are super cool.
Is it Empire Lug or Rebel Lug?
Yeah, everyone always gets it confused. So Rebel Lug was like the first group to do it for sure.
I don't know. It's Star Wars and it's a bunch of dorky guys. Like,
exactly. Just
wow,
say it.
Canceled. Thanks, Claire.
Yeah, no, it's
you need that community, Claire.
It's gonna be different because like Chicago has not happened in 3 years. When we're all at BrickWiz Chicago, 3 years ago was when the last event was, and Chicago was my first event as well. So I feel a little bit like sort of like I need to make sure everyone is doing their thing, but it'll be similar. I think the Lug has some pretty fun stuff planned. But like the most important thing and something that we always stress within the group, which I think sets us apart from a lot of other groups, is just having fun. I mean, when it comes down to it, when it boils down to it, we want to, we don't want to be on top of you for making the best mock or having the best equipment or whatever it is. Like, we want to facilitate an experience that you guys will remember, and something that will sort of carry with you. And we hope to inspire that both within LEGO and beyond. So obviously being a big part of that crew, and even, and like you guys know, just as simple as going out to eat, like I'm sure you guys did in Disney or whatever it was, going shopping together, like as simple as it sounds, it's such a core, it's such a core part of the experience. And that's, I strive so hard for that, because quick side story. In 2018, so BrickWiz Chicago, 2018 was my first event. I was not associated with the Lug. Rebel Lug, which was again that first Star Wars Lug, they invited me out to display my crate, which was awesome because at the time I was like, oh my god, Rebel Lug's this premier group. I've seen them from Ryan's vlogs, and I know Danny and all these guys. So they were like the dudes at the time for sure. I was definitely a little taken back, and that's no shade at the group at all. I love Danny. I love all the guys over there, but it wasn't as inclusive as I was hoping. And I wasn't looking for like hold my hand throughout the entire time and give me gifts and shower me in praise. But it definitely wasn't inclusive, and I was like, I don't really know how I feel about that. So that was a big reason why we started Empire Look, because we wanted to facilitate that experience in a way that I sort of envisioned. And for those of you who were at Brick Fair, I think you saw that there was a nice little sense of group and family and belonging at the Empire Look table, and that's the most important for sure.
Well, you guys were also like kind of front and center, and then it was like it just felt like the robotics team had like were just having the best time of their lives, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. It was like it was cool. I mean, like I definitely like Sans like loves to talk to absolutely everyone, and he's like super you never gets it, but he's like very extroverted when it comes to like especially in Lego convention environments, and he's like running around left and right, and I'm just kind of like super slow-mo energy like hanging out behind. But it was you guys were very sweet to me, which was like really nice because like dude, and I've said this before, like I actually like I really enjoy the conventions, but I feel incredibly out of place. And because like first of all, there's like not a lot of people my age. There's not a lot of women my age. There's not a lot of people who've had the same social dynamics that are that I've experienced. And so like it is very much like it is a little bit different for me, but you guys were always like really sweet. Particularly, you were like, there's snacks, you can have water, like you were definitely playing host in like this gigantic, like massive convention.
Yeah, I was like, this is my home, and like
exactly.
I always tell everyone, even like everyone, Shy and Ninja, like if you guys are ever around an Empire Look booth, you don't even ever need to ask. You could just come right behind, take food, take drinks, whatever it is. Like that's just how I've just always had this like if you're my friends and family, like I'm gonna do everything I can, to make it a fun experience, and that's just the very core foundation of that group, and that's something I will always try to uphold as much as I can. But conventions, that's a good point because it is tough because I feel like you're either the younger, again, maybe like the out of high school or like the young 20s who have the lug, who do the vlogs and stuff, or you're the 50-year-old AFOLs who love trains and sometimes don't smell the greatest. We have a rule at our table, me particularly, because my nose is very sensitive, and I said to anyone, if you don't wear deodorant, you don't have any sort of body odor mask, I'm literally going to kick you out. Because
I don't know, there's a lot of like teenage boy vibe like happening for Empire Leg. It's it's a scene for sure. There's definitely like which is it's not a bad thing. It just is. Exactly. It is there.
It's a self-improvement role.
It is. It definitely is what it is. But also like the most of the guys at the Empire League table, they might give you like this high school or college cliquey vibe.
Yeah.
But like no one's like that. Everyone's
no. Everyone is so nice. Everyone is so nice.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone I've met is a nerd.
So yeah, I'm not trying to be here like being like I'm cool. Like that's never been the case. That's been always like I'm very aware of that. But it's very much like I don't know if it's probably the age differential and like the social norms. Like but I don't know. I'm curious. I wanna we gotta get Lauren back on here one day and like ask her post convention what she thinks, because she's like her and I are very similar in terms of like demographic and stuff, and so I'm curious how she feels about it too. But yeah, I mean, look, conventions are the best, and I look forward to them. I've gone to one and I loved it, and I look forward to it every year. But it's definitely it's not enough for me. Like it's not enough to see my like Lego friends in just those environments. Like there needs to be more trips, or you know what I mean. I want more. I want to hang out with my friends.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I've been fortunate to where I know I don't have too many people who are involved in Lego who are my friends in the community, like locally around me. Like, I mean, you said before the recording, David's probably the closest. He's like 5 or 6 hours, which it's not super close. So it definitely takes a lot, but being within driving distance of Virginia definitely helps me sort of just get going for sure. But I think a lot of, for anyone's sort of friendship and relationship to go beyond just the community, I think you guys have to like meet up and hang out and spend time with each other. And that sort of group that you maybe saw me particularly around, Claire, I think like those are usually like, those are the guys, like those are your 5 guys.
Those are your buddies.
Right
yeah,
there.
that's the best.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you could tell. It wasn't like you could tell you've met multiple times. You talk all the time. You guys have a rapport, and like it's so cool. And that's the cool thing about all those conventions, though. It's like a lot of people have that, right? It's like different cliques, different clubs, even like the old school like train energy. It's got that. Like these people have been around. They've got their own language, man. It's like it's something different entirely, and it's cool. It's a lot of fun, but. Anyway, this is getting me hyped for Chicago. I'm so excited. Like Shai just booked it, Josh just booked it. You're all booked. Everyone's booked. Ninja, you gotta think about coming.
Ninja, you gotta come, dude. One of these, dude.
Questionable. No. Yeah, I have to one day.
One day.
I have to set it up.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at planning things.
It's definitely one of the, it's definitely it's a hard thing to be bad at planning for sure. Yeah. But
then the 4-ticket thing that Shai was talking about.
Yeah, that's really rough.
Yeah, that's the hard part. That's how I was able to go, was because I was planning on doing 2 different conventions at the same time. I'm like, I don't know if I can do both. Really want to go to Chicago, but like I was like, let me just make it a family trip. So that's the reason why I'm doing it.
Yeah. See, that's it'll happen. It'll happen for sure.
Yeah, you got to get multiple parties like on board. Yeah.
Yeah. Finding roomies is definitely making it a lot easier for costs for conventions for sure. But I always say for anyone who always asks me like, like which convention should I go to? Should I even go? I think it's something you should always experience once. And I want to follow up with you guys because I know Claire's been at Virginia. Shai or Ninja, have you guys been to Brick Fair, Virginia at all?
Not Virginia.
Nah.
Okay, so mainly then Claire, I'm interested to know after Chicago if you feel like there's like this fundamental difference. Maybe not even like which one's better or worse, but like for me personally, having been there a handful of times, I feel like there's just such a difference between the atmosphere and the event that's run between Chicago and Virginia. So I'll be interested to hear what you think about that.
Okay, cool.
You know
I'm
what?
excited.
I'm interested also because I've been kind of like on the fence of the same thing. Like, what's the best show? Because we went to Brickfest. Live in Pasadena, which it was cool, but I felt like it wasn't what I was expecting, like after seeing Virginia and
Brickfests are not. I mean, if it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, if you went with like kids, like Shai, if he went with his kids to Brickfest, I think he would get a lot more out of that than when.
Well, that's what Ninja.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Well, Matt, I have Gadget. You didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
which made it. Yeah, that's what made it cool.
Virginia and Chicago are definitely unique, and I always say you should at least go to one just to see what it's like, just to see everyone. Because I mean, if you're involved in the YouTube space, a lot of creators always go there. So you're definitely bound to meet people that maybe you've watched or that you've talked with online.
Yeah.
And that's essentially the draw for those types of conventions, more so than because there are other large ones out there. Like, for example, Brikx LA is a big one out here.
Right.
But there's not a lot of YouTube here. So, and it's very clicky amongst the AFOLs out here. So it's not relatively the same. Like I would say looking at videos in the past and looking at the ones that like in the East Coast or Midwest, it's comparable as far as size, but there's no one that you would specifically notice because obviously it's not also showcased either on YouTube because no one goes.
No one goes. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So there's a big
very much like an AFOL vibe. I feel like Brikx Cascade is getting some leverage. I feel like there are creators that go out there, and
true.
Our friend Joey, like Lego Joey on Instagram, he's like a really cool mock builder. He was at Virginia and he really liked it, but he said that Brikx Cascade he thought was better. And I don't know, he probably meant from like the perspective of like mocks and you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I don't know. I'm really curious though, because I think he's gonna be in Chicago too.
Yeah, I think for me personally, as much as I love Lego and seeing all the creations, I mean 98% of the reason why I go is just to go see everyone again.
Oh yeah, it's the people for sure.
Yeah, I mean there are definitely people who go for the mocks and seeing fun stuff and maybe like recording a tour video or whatever it may be. But I think the big thing that keeps me coming back is obviously just seeing my friends and hanging out with them and spending quality time. So that's always the most important for me.
It's like it's almost like a family reunion type thing.
It feels like that for sure. Yeah,
especially for people that you don't like live in the same state or something like that.
That you don't get to see all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
For those of you watching, we lost Shai.
Shai has disappeared.
MIA.
Oh, dude, I didn't even realize. Oh my god, I'm such a
dad life. Dad life, right there.
Dad life. Yeah.
I've always been wanting to get into those big Brick Mania kits, but I I can't.
You have the right person here to talk to about it.
What? Sorry,
I've
what I
always-
missed?
I was saying I always wanted to get into some of like the Air Force stuff from Brickmania, just like fighters and stuff, but I don't know if I could get that price going for me because I could put that towards like the mock and
There
stuff.
you go.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
you have
right.
the funds to do it. It's just
That's yeah,
it's
that's
just
true.
let me just buy one to do it. They do sell instructions and the XML files, so just go that way. It's
Yeah, that might
Seems
be
like a
better,
lot of gray
honestly.
bricks too.
Yeah,
yeah. You probably have all the pieces to do it anyways, because it is all light bluish and dark bluish gray.
Star Wars.
It's a lot of gray. A lot of gray over there.
every Star Wars mock ever, gray.
It's like half your collection all gray.
Yeah, like literally, I think the majority of it is gray. It's so annoying because oh my god! So the Anaxis mock I made, it's basically just gray. It's like dark gray and then light gray. So there's a little bit of fun stuff. But then like I think I posted on Facebook in this Facebook group just to sort of like just put it out there. And then this one dude, it was so annoying. He just like commented the most like narcissistic, condescending thing. He was like, "Oh, sick gray block," and it was just. I'm like, you're really gonna do that to me after spending 8 months on this? You're just gonna be like sick, cool gray thing, like.
But isn't that like the attack to all Star Wars Lego?
Yeah, is that it's
Yeah.
gray? Like
Absolutely.
I feel like that's been done before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a better. I feel like there is a better diss out there. It is.
If you guys have one, leave it in the comments.
Speaking of which, I think that's enough. We pretty much
It's
hit
never
all the
enough.
points.
We killed it. I think we killed
I
it.
think we killed it. It was pretty much
Mhm.
well done
Mhm.
episode.
Awesome.
So thanks, Matt, for
Mhm.
coming in and letting us know a little bit about your life.
Yeah, of course, guys. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun. I'd love to be back too whenever you guys want. So let me know.
Yeah, we
Oh,
do this. We do this every once in a while.
Once you're on, you're now on speed dial in case.
Yeah, you're locked in now.
That's right. I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that.
Well, with that being said, if there's nothing else, let's roll that music. All right, guys. Peace.
Bye bye.
Cool. Sorry, my water was on for like an hour and a half, like with the grass. So I have to go out and turn it off.
Oh,
Oh my
damn.
god, you like flooded the house.
Well, no, I'm seeding my grass, so I need to be.
I like how you say that as though I care or know what you're
No,
talking
you don't
Where's-
care.
Where's Ross?
Like, I have a lawn.